I'm contemplating divorce due to my wife's struggle with her mother's passing. My wife's mom died from lung cancer 5 years ago. It was really tough for all of us. We stopped doing a lot of things we normally did because we had to take care of her. My wife felt really sad, just like me and our 3 kids did. But after her mom died, my wife got even sadder. I get it. Losing a parent is really hard. For a long time, she couldn't do much. So I took over most of the things at home and with the kids. My wife had been talking to someone about her feelings since we found out her mom was sick, and she kept going after her mom died. The issue isn't that I haven't been there for her. I've been as supportive as I could possibly be. She leaned on me every night, crying for months, and I thought that was just part of the worst in our marriage vows. But here's the thing, even after 5 years, she hasn't gotten any better. She's still struggling just as much, maybe even more. About 4 years ago, she stopped going to grief counseling, and she won't consider going back. She says it won't help her and that nothing can. Around a month before any big holiday, my wife goes through a really tough time. She spends a lot of time in bed, crying all day. She doesn't want to be around the family. She can't muster up the energy to do anything around the house. This goes on every single day until about a week after the holiday is over. Every holiday feels just as painful for her as it did 5 years ago. The months of October, November, December, and January, especially because it's her mom's birthday month, are particularly hard. During these times, I basically don't have my wife around. I'm left to take care of our 3 kids on my own. In total, she's completely overwhelmed by grief for about 6 months every year, and it's been like this for the past 5 years. When I say she's overwhelmed, I mean it. When she's in the midst of her grief, she can't be close to me or the kids. There's no hugging, spending time together, or going out as a family. I don't even try to initiate intimacy anymore because she's unable to talk about it between her sobs. What hurts me the most is that the kids don't seem to be as concerned about their mom anymore. If they see her in bed when they come home, they just go about their day. Sometimes they might say, "Mom is sad today." If we ask where she is, they don't really try to be close to her anymore because all they see are tears. I've talked about this with therapists, my parents, friends, and everyone else. And I already know what people might say in response, so let me answer those things before you bring them up. My wife doesn't want to go back to therapy for her grief or see a doctor for her depression. Yes, I know she's really depressed, but I can't force her to go to the doctor. I've tried everything. Yes, her grief is still just as strong as it was 5 years ago. No, I never tell her to just get over it or ignore her feelings. On my bad days, I give her space and leave her alone. Most days, I try to comfort her. If you want to judge me for leaving her alone sometimes, go ahead, but just know that I feel like I'm exhausted from taking care of her all the time. She doesn't have a history of depression, but she does have ADHD. I don't know if that's important. It feels like my wife died when her mom died. I would do anything to have her back, even just a little bit, but she doesn't seem able or willing to move past her mom's death. I feel terrible even thinking about getting a divorce, but I don't know what else to do. Update 1: I posted that message in a rush during my break at work, just needing to let out some thoughts. I didn't expect it to get much attention, so I didn't check back until later. I was surprised by the number of responses and the kind messages I received. It was a bit overwhelming, and I wasn't sure how to respond to all of them, so I thought I'd give an update here. Some people suggested having my wife involuntarily admitted to a medical facility. I didn't mention it before, but I did ask our family doctor about that about a year ago. He said that unless she's a danger to herself or others, it's unlikely to happen. I did some research on my own, and it seems to be the case in the state we live in. I do believe my wife needs medical help. I have a feeling that during the year of grief counseling after her mom passed away, she wasn't completely honest with her counselor. I remember a particularly sad moment when she came home after one of her last sessions and said her counselor thought she wouldn't need to keep going much longer. Then she went straight to bed and cried. I've been trying to persuade her to go back to counseling, but without success. However, Posting on Reddit made me realize that maybe she needs more than just counseling. Update 2: after my last post, I spent a couple of days writing a letter to my wife. In it, I expressed our love and concern for her and outlined all the worrying behavior we've noticed. I suggested that she might need more medical care, especially since it seems like she's struggling with complex grief. I didn't mention anything about divorce, but I did say that the current situation isn't good for the kids. I read the letter to her that same night after the kids had gone to bed. After I finished, she just stared at me blankly for about 15 minutes. Then she got up and started walking to the door. I panicked and tried to stop her, asking where she was going and if we could talk about it. I was worried for her safety, but she just rolled her eyes at me and said in a really cold voice, "I hope when your parents die, someone doesn't tell you to get over it." After that, I didn't try to stop her. I just let her go. I was angry for a short while, but then I started to panic. I was genuinely scared that my wife might harm herself. When I checked my phone, I saw that she had turned off her location. I called and texted her nonstop for about an hour, pleading with her to let me know she was okay and that she wasn't going to do anything drastic. Just as I was about to call the police, I received a call from her phone. I answered right away, but before I could say much, a man's voice on the other end told me she was fine, but didn't want to talk to me, and then hung up. It felt like I was in a daze. I had no idea what was happening. I almost called the police anyway, but I was so disoriented that I talked myself out of it. I kept calling her phone all night, but nobody answered. After about 2 a.m., it just went straight to voicemail. I could barely sleep that night. The next morning, my wife still wasn't home. I took the kids to school and daycare as usual, thankful they didn't ask about her absence. I spent the morning trying to reach her, but her phone went straight to voicemail. When I called her office, they said she called in sick. Feeling like a nervous wreck, I called in sick to work too and stayed home, anxiously waiting for any sign from her. I also called my mom and asked her to pick up the kids from school and watch them overnight. I didn't explain everything to her, just said I needed some urgent help. My wife finally came home around 4 p.m. When I tried to hug her, she pulled away. I asked where she had been, but she just stared blankly. I asked about the call from her phone, but again, no response, just a blank stare. I was so frustrated at this point that I told her if she didn't want to explain, she could leave. Looking back, I regret saying it like that, but I was incredibly frustrated. She finally started talking, but it felt like I was talking to a robot version of her. No emotion, completely flat, almost annoyed. She said she went to her friend John's house, but I had no clue who John was, so I asked for more details. It took about 2 hours of me prying to get the full story. She answered like a robot, giving me basic answers without any extra details or context. Turns out, John is a coworker. I've met him briefly at office parties, but never really talked to him. Apparently, over the past year or so, she's been confiding in him about her grief over her mom's death, and he's been comforting her. He lost a parent to cancer too, so she felt a connection with him that she didn't have with me. She said after reading the letter, she realized I don't care about her or her mom's death, so she went to John's for comfort. I straight up asked if she was having an affair with him, and she said no. I asked why she never mentioned being close friends with him, and she said it wasn't my business. When I asked if anything happened between them while she was there, she said they cuddled, and he held her while she cried. I asked my wife to see her phone to check messages between her and John, but she refused. When she went to take a shower, I tried to check her phone, but she had changed her passcode. I then checked her iPad, which still had my fingerprints saved, and found messages there. She had saved him as Stacy in her contacts, but it was clear it was him. There were texts going back over a year, with a lot of her talking about her mom and him comforting her. He would often tell her I don't really care about her and that he would treat her better if they were married. She agreed with him in her replies. There were also many texts from her complaining about me and him trash-talking me. The night she left, she texted him saying, "Forget it. I'm coming over if the offer is still there. And he immediately replied yes. The next morning, she texted him saying, if he asks, we just talked. After finding all this, I felt sick and ended up throwing up in a Walmart parking lot for about 20 minutes. I returned home and found my wife sitting on the couch, engrossed in her phone, seemingly unaware that I had even left. I confronted her about what I had discovered and told her she needed to leave. She didn't respond for a while, just stared at me until I got frustrated and told her to get out of the house. Without hesitation, she got up, told me John was right about you, and left. Since then, I haven't seen her. I told the kids she went to visit her parents, but I know I'll have to tell them the truth soon. I'm lost and overwhelmed. The idea of divorcing her and dealing with custody and child support feels like too much to handle. I feel paralyzed by it all. I know she's not in her right mind, but I've reached a point where I can't care anymore. I put on a brave face for work and for my kids, but I'm crying myself to sleep every night. It feels like my life is falling apart. I do believe John took advantage of her vulnerability, but I don't even have the energy to try and make her see that. She chose him over her own family, and it's heartbreaking.